So I hear Amber. If Courtney and Joyce and Jenny and Nadine and Lauren, would you all just press 1 if you hear both me and Amber? Yippee! They're all pressing 1, so we're all good. Okay.
All
so
right.
Amber,
Yay.
welcome to the call. This is the beginning of an interview. First off, to introduce myself, I'm Susan Kirby, and I am working in a business called Stage Time Speaker Training, and I have the pleasure of working with emerging speakers to get their messages out there. And I believe that each of us has a message, and that our messages can change lives, but only when they're delivered. So today you've joined us to hear the message of breaking free from mom and finding my own voice. So we'll be interviewing Amber Deanne, and that's what you've actually come to hear, Amber Deanne, who's a hypnotherapist and a My Mom is Driving Me Crazy coach. And she wants to talk to us today about breaking free from mom and finding my own voice, as I said. And I'm going to ask that we each refrain from multitasking and doing any computer work and really get the most of this heart-based discussion about mother issues. And we're going to ask you to do some journaling in a little bit. So if you would get a piece of paper and a pen, that would be wonderful. And you should know that this information is for and about women so that you can start to learn, grow, and move forward. And it's essential to stay open-minded and participate. So with that, I really want to welcome Amber Deanne to our call, and thank you all for being patient for our arrival. And Amber, I want to say first off that My Mom is Driving Me Crazy coach. I bet a lot of women can relate to that. How did you get that tagline?
Yes, you're right. I think they can relate to that. I was so lucky to be able to find that. I wanted a tagline that reflects the struggle we really have when we communicate with our moms. And I love that women can relate to it, and I know they do when they start laughing. So
that's great. Well, I think we all can actually relate to that. So question for you, Amber. How did you become a My Mom is Driving Me Crazy coach?
Well, first I had to heal my own relationship with my mom, and then I had to find myself. And it was a long, difficult journey. But I'm glad I did because now I'm so much wiser and stronger. And because of my experience, I can clearly understand what other women are feeling and thinking when they feel devastated by their mom. And I feel so lucky to be able to do this work.
Well, Amber, you said something about becoming stronger. What do you mean more? Tell me more about stronger.
By that I mean I'm becoming more assertive, more independent, more mentally focused on my journey, which is to help other women clear out their communication problems with their family of origin, but do it in a way that allows them to stand up, and speak their wisdom.
Beautiful. So tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get into this work?
I grew up in a family where my mom and her mom were forever locked in a verbal battle over money, raising kids, the relatives, just about anything and everything. And then they would act out, and they would obsess over the smallest things. The mom would criticize Grandma, and Grandma would criticize Mom, and I was the one caught in the middle, trying to calm things down and restore some sanity while trying to protect myself. It was just so stressful. But it was until I was in my 30s when I noticed that I had my low self-esteem, I had very little personal identity, and I was either in depression or in anger. I was really feeling lost and miserable. And all of this trauma had really taken a serious impact on me. I had spent so much time emotionally caretaking my mom and my grandmother that I had no idea who I was or what I wanted. It was a really deep aha moment, and it was the beginning of my journey into the mother-daughter connection. So, Susan, what was your mother experience?
Well, it's interesting because my mother experience was really more of one where I ended up becoming her best friend, which is kind of a good way of being with your mom, but it was a little bit too much. I really took over kind of being the dad. I kind of took over being, all those things. My mom and dad have still been married. They're married 50 some odd years now. But she always turned to me for everything, it seemed like. And I know when I went to college, I just needed to get out of the house. My mom thought I could go to Northwestern in Evanston, Illinois, which is where I grew up, and I just knew she'd know I was just down the street. So I ended up in Maine, which is about as far away as you can get without crossing an ocean, and just to try and find who I was and find my own voice, as I hear you saying.
Yes, so it seems like both of us had a lot of enmeshment in our relationship with Mom, didn't we?
Yeah.
Neither of us really wanted to or could be a mother to our mothers. And as children, that's not really our job. I see over and over again that children take personal responsibility for the emotional pain of their parents. It's just kind of an ingrained automatic response. We unconsciously try to fix the family and create a loving home environment. But as we get older, we find we've absorbed so much of our mother's anger and resentments that we just numb out. I know I acted like a robot a lot at the time. And at other times, I felt like I was suffocating and trapped, and I just lashed out whenever Mom tried to impose rules on me. It was a crazy roller coaster ride. Well, I'm glad that's over. Today, Susan, I want to help our listeners explore their personal interaction with their mothers, because this is the first step to find solutions.
Great. Well, how do we do that? How do we explore our personal interactions?
Well, we need to take a look at our family of origin, especially our relationship with Mom. So let's do that right now. Let's look at our family relationships. They really are an avenue for learning about interacting with people. You may one day have had a fantastic, warm relationship with your dad, but a really sour one with Mom. And the next day you may find you have a frank, open conversation with Mom, and you feel really distant from Dad. So you learn to interact with each of them differently. You learn how to read their moods, how to speak to them, what topics to talk about, what emotions to share. So let's honor that knowledge, because it's important. And these become skills that you can use every day when you communicate with your boss, your friends, your boyfriend, your work colleagues, even the bank teller and the clerk in the grocery store, because it's one of those gifts you've received from your family. So let's appreciate this. So repeat after me. I may not be able to communicate with my mom in a way that I like, but for the moment, that is okay. It will change. And you also learn a lot about yourself in
Should
a
we
family.
repeat that, Amber? Why don't we
sure.
give everybody a chance to repeat that? So
I'm
going to
great idea.
I'm going to repeat it myself, and then we'll let our listeners repeat it. If you can out loud, that's great. And if not, if you're in a public place, just in your head, say, I may not be able to communicate with my mom in a way that I like. So let's everybody say that. I may not be able to communicate with Mom in a way that I like. But for the moment, that's okay. It'll change. So, but for the moment, that's okay.
It will change.
Great.
Great
Amber.
Thank you. Great idea.
Yeah.
Okay, as I was saying, we also can learn a lot about ourselves in our families. You learn when conversations with Mom feel warm and when they feel prickly. You learn that you like the warm conversations and you really hate the prickly ones. You learn what conversations feel supportive and which do not, and which conversations feel emotionally authentic and which feel really fakey. You learn that when you accept the warm, supportive energy from talking with Mom, you feel peaceful and happy, and everything in your day works well. But when you had a prickly conversation, your mood matches Mom's, and you feel resentful or angry, and nothing goes right that day. From your family, you've learned what feels good and bad in communication, and how it affects your relationship to the world around you. This is valuable information because now you know on an emotional level what positive, supportive relationships will feel like. You will know what level in work relationships feel good and which do not. And you will know which friendships feel good and which do not. And you can choose. You can choose what you want. So again, let's honor this knowledge. So I'm going to make another statement, and you can repeat it after me. My relationship with Mom has been valuable for me. And while I may not always like it, it is just temporary, and it can change.
That's great. So actually, I'm going to unmute everybody so we can all participate in that and hear everybody as we say it, if that's workable. I've got everybody off mute, and so far so good as far as the noise in the background. So the sentence again, Amber, is,
my relationship with Mom has been valuable for me.
All right, let's just do that. Let's start with that. So everybody join us. My relationship with Mom has been valuable
for me.
Great. All right, and the next part, Amber?
And while I may not always like it,
and while I may not always like it,
it is just temporary.
It is just temporary.
And it can change.
And it can change. Great. Thank you for that, Amber. Thanks for everybody for participating. It feels more like you're there when I hear your voices, so thank you for joining us. Amber, go ahead. I'm going to leave everybody off mute for a moment. If anything gets loud, we'll change it. But go ahead, and Amber, then when we ask them to repeat, they'll be with us. So this is a real eye-opening exercise, and I would love to gain more. I really had no idea that I had gained so much from my relationship with my mom and how influential it is. So this can affect our whole life, from the friends we select to the man we marry. Is that what you're telling us?
Exactly. And the whole relationship, the whole experience was free.
Yeah. So how do we shift this if we don't actually like what we've gotten?
We need to learn to listen to ourselves and to our emotions. We accept that when we are angry and snap back at Mom, we are really saying, I don't like this conversation. I want a warmer, more loving conversation. And we are also saying, this conversation does not make me feel good, or strong, or loved, or accepted. We are asserting our rights by making this statement. In a way, we are stating our boundaries.
So how do we actually stop the arguing with Mom if that's what we're doing?
We have to be okay with our emotional intelligence, because that's what comes up in these situations. So we need to say to ourselves, I'm okay. I just set my boundaries. It's okay. I'm taking care of me. Then we need to learn how to respond in an argument without those knee-jerk emotional reactions, right? Yes, because it is a knee-jerk reaction to yell back when we feel threatened or when we feel we're being pressured into something. So stop and think a minute. What do you feel when Mom starts yelling at you? Is it fear? Do you feel someone is trying to take away your individuality? Or do you feel you're going to lose your identity? I know all these feelings. I've felt this way many times. So when I was yelled at, I would yell back. And when Mom started to argue, I would argue back. It felt like self-defense. Yet every reaction only made the situation worse. The arguments louder and longer. It was not the answer.
So how do we shift our relationships?
We must stop this knee-jerk reaction to other people. Let them be upset. Let them yell. Let them cuss. Let them criticize or blame, and just ignore it. Really, just let them be upset. And don't let it affect you.
Well, that's not always going to be easy, I don't think, Amber.
No, it's not. And at first, it will be tough. It takes some discipline and a conscious shift in your thinking. But if you keep up practicing these skills, you will soon be able to feel like a superwoman, invincible and strong. And it definitely opens the doors to all new possibilities in your relationship with your mom. And it allows you to act from your power and not like a weak victim. And now then you can soon see that you can present yourself in a different way to Mom and the world. And you can notice your relationships shifting.
Wow, well, it really would be wonderful to feel that power in our mother relationships. And you're talking about changing the way we act and think, which is challenging. So how do we get started, Amber?
We need to experience on a deep level that we are separate people and not part of or attached to Mom anymore. The truth is we never were our moms. Of course, we know that intellectually, but subconsciously, many of us have seemed to forget the message or can't connect to it.
Yeah, I can understand that. So should we, how can you help us get through that?
Well, let's take a breath, and I will continue with some exercises, okay?
Okay, great.
So let's just inhale, hold the breath, and exhale. And I did this just so we can kind of let this information sink in, just to give us a little pause. And now we're ready. I'm going to continue with some more information. So let's explore some of the aspects of this pattern enmeshment that we have with our moms. Have you ever thought that some of your behavior may be just like your mom's? This could include how you react to situations, how you think about certain people, how you talk to certain people. Have you watched children play? Have you seen them scold their baby dolls just like Mom scolds them? You see them hit their baby dolls like Mom hits them? Do you see them talk to other people the way Mom talks to them? They are mimicking. It's a child's way of relating to the world. It's a child picking up information from Mom and using it. We all do it on some level, but usually it's unconscious, and it's so hard to change. And this mimicking can become our programming. So today I want to look at some of these common behaviors. Let's explore this a little more, but in a more personal way. Some people think that writing about ourselves can help us recover a sense of safety in the world, a sense of identity, power, integrity, possibility, connection, strength, autonomy, and just many, many other things. So let's try it. Let's see if this is true. Let's do a writing exercise right now. Everyone take out your piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, and we're going to see if we have any common behaviors with Mom. So putting your pen and your pencil, holding that in your non-dominant hand, which is the one you do not write with, and without thinking, just feeling, write the first thing that pops into your head when I ask you a question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so list the not-so-good qualities of Mom and write for 1 minute. Okay, stop. Put down the pen. Stand up and move. Do some kind of little dance, shake yourself. Just move your whole body. Wow, move your whole body. Get that energy moving out. Wasn't that easy?
Not all that easy to write with your non-dominant hand and then get up and shake, but I like the shaking part.
Me too. I love that part. So now I'm going to do a little breathing exercise, and then we're going to do another writing exercise. So inhale.
Okay.
Inhale. Exhale. This again shifts the energy, changes your mind focus, so we're ready to move on to the next thing. So you can go ahead and sit down. And now for the next question. Now we're going to switch to you. Write what personal behaviors you have that you don't like. Here we're going to write for 1 minute. No thinking. Just feel it and write it. Keep that pen in that non-dominant hand. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Go. Okay, stop. Okay, get up.
Oh, again?
Get up again. Yeah, dance, shake yourself, move your body, get that energy off. Okay, doesn't that feel good? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now take a look at each list that you wrote. The one you wrote about Mom and the one you wrote about yourself. And what do you notice about these two lists?
Wow.
Susan, can you open the lines so we can hear their stories?
Yep, I have them open. So if you'd like to share something you saw about your list, just go ahead and start, or you can raise your hand to number 1, and I'll call on you, whichever. I think it's small enough group we can just hear from people. So who's willing to share what they see about their lists? Amber, Lauren, you ready?
No, I was just unmuting.
Thank you very much. Are you willing to share a little bit about what was on both lists?
I found a lot of similarities, not many, but a few similarities between them. They were a lot of the same theme was running through it.
Yeah. Interesting. So what I noticed for myself, Amber, was my mom's always disappointed, and she's often angry and has one of those looks like, that look you get when you disappoint her. And I realized that, I'm often angry, and I definitely have one of those looks for when people are disappointing me. And that whole thing of being disappointed, I'd never actually seen as so much like my mother. But I definitely knew that the anger or the quick to, be upset. But the other thing I saw is that she, I always think she just wants us to do what she wants us to do and to like it. And my sister actually says that about me, that I not only want my family to do what I want them to do, but I want them to like it because I think it's best for everybody. And I realize my mother thinks she knows best for everybody as well. So it's not always the same thing that we think is best for everybody, but we definitely have those things in common.
Yes, we all do. We all do. Does anybody else on the line want to share? I'd like to hear some other comments. Nothing to share? Okay.
Oh, nope. Courtney's willing to share. Go ahead, Courtney, please.
I wasn't sure if I had to press the one. Yeah, I immediately noticed the three things that I wrote about what I don't like about my mom is definitely what I don't like about myself. And then I was trying to just write something a little different, but a lot of them are, the two I wrote about myself are definitely reflective of what I wrote about my mom too. So yeah, it's quite fascinating to see that immediately.
I noticed that too when I was doing this exercise. It was like, oh my goodness, I'm thinking like my mom thinks and feeling, and I have some of the same judgments, and it was just wild. It was just wild. I couldn't believe it. And so that's when I knew I had to do some work on myself. So.
And yeah, I see that too.
Yeah, and that's okay. This is a good time to do that work. And when we're aware of it, that's when we can make the changes. And that's when things can start to happen and shift, and they will. Yes. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, Amber, you said we can actually make changes about the way we think and act. How can we do that?
Yes, we certainly can. It just takes some awareness, like we just got from these exercises. It takes some self-love and the willingness to change. And we need to learn a few tools. But I've learned a shortcut, and here it is. We can use our imagination, and we can connect it with our heart energy and create a picture of what we really and truly want.
Great.
So, how many of you would want a peaceful, loving relationship with your mom?
Great. If you want that loving relationship with your mom, just press, this time I'm going to have you press 2. All right. Yeah, I see, Amber, we're all wanting that. Thank you very much for your raising your hands, because I know we're all wanting that peaceful relationship with Mom, and I think that's why we're all on this teleseminar. So share with us more about that.
I sure will. Okay, so we need to stop our thoughts for a minute and go into a different space. And in this space, we're going to imagine a great relationship with our mom. Now here, I just want you to let your imagination fly. Would you like to be able to talk with your mom over coffee? Or would you rather like to have some pizza with her? Would you like to be able to go skiing with Mom? Would you like to be able to go to a movie with Mom? Just keep going. Just keep visualizing and imagining bigger and bigger and bigger activities that you could do with your mom. Now, if you're not able to imagine anything, that's okay. Just let your mind dwell on one of your favorite movies. A movie that involved a mother and a daughter, and one that you really especially liked. Imagine you are the daughter and your mom is the mother in this movie. Let the picture unfold any way it wants to. That's right, don't coerce anything. Just let the picture unfold. And I'm going to pause a minute so you can finish this exercise and develop this imagination relationship, okay? Okay, does everyone have a picture in their mind of how they would like this relationship to be? Or maybe you have more than a picture. Maybe you have a full-length movie playing in your head. That's good too. So just stay with that. Hold on to that picture, okay? And just feel the energy of that picture, how good it feels, how warm it is. And I'm going to pause for a minute, and then we're going to do a little guided meditation. So hold on to that picture. Okay, now set it aside, and we're going to do a guided meditation. So let's go to a quiet spot in nature, something that you love. It might be a meadow, a river, a waterfall, maybe a tree in the park, and just see whatever picture pops into your head. Okay? Just stay there with that picture. Just see it, feel it, sense it. Let that picture come alive in your mind. Now you're going to see a figure walk toward you, a female figure. And you look closely, and you see it's your mom. She stands in front of you, and she smiles at you. You look up, and you look into her eyes, and you smile back and say, "Hi, Mom. I'm glad you're here." She talks to you. You respond. You continue talking. You engage in this warm conversation. She talks, and then you talk. And then she responds, and then you respond. Now she walks closer to you, and she touches you gently, stares into your eyes, and you feel the warmth. And then she leaves. You stand and you watch her walk away. And you feel different inside. A little lighter, a little happier. And you watch her walk away. Now you get up and move and walk out of the meadow. And you come back into the room where you are right now. And you open your eyes and feel yourself back in your room. You feel the chair beneath you. You feel your feet on the floor. You can wiggle your toes. Observe your breath. And just bring yourself totally back in the room where you are now. If it helps, take some deep breaths and be fully conscious and back in your body. Do you feel different? Just notice what you feel. Do you have a deep, loving feeling? Or is it more like a shallow, gentle feeling? Whatever you feel is fine. The important thing is to feel. So just sit for a minute and let yourself feel. And just notice what's going on. So how was that for you, Susan?
That was actually really great. It was funny when you first asked us to think about things we'd like to do with Mom and going skiing with Mom. I kept going, not my mom. She won't be going skiing. And then I thought, well, if I'm making this up, why doesn't she go skiing with me? Wouldn't that be fun? And when you had us go to our quiet spot, I decided I'd go climb a tree because I really like climbing the trees in my neighborhood, up in the oak trees where I live, and I never got to climb them as a kid, so we didn't have oak trees in Illinois. But so I was sitting there, and I thought, yeah, my mom at 80 can come climb the tree with me too in my dreams, in my imagination. So it was actually kind of fun. What got lifted was the kind of being on pins and needles around my mom, or like that being trying to always accommodate her. Kind of dropped away, and it was more on equal footing, or maybe more as I liked it. But it was just more of a ready to be the kind of friendship versus the my trying to accommodate. Even in the past when we've done things together that we both enjoyed, it still feels a bit like I'm trying to accommodate. And in this case, it kind of dropped away to just hanging out with Mom.
Very good. That's exactly what I wanted everybody to experience.
Well, let's hear what else anybody else got to experience. So if you'd like to share, just go ahead and press 1 again and let us know you'd like to share, and we'll give you the mic. It's always a more inspiring conference call if anybody's willing to share what they saw. So we'll just give you another minute to think and to get yourselves off mute and raise your hand with a 1 if you wouldn't mind. All right, Courtney, please feel free.
Sure. I imagine my mom and I at the beach because we would vacation when I was younger at the beach, and that's one place where I know that she really relaxed because, she carries a lot of stress, so that's immediately my mind went there. And then, but it was a little bit challenging because as Amber was leading us through the visualization, my husband was beeping in. So that, that was a little bit tricky. And then I was like trying to, go back and forth. Should I answer that, or but I didn't answer it. So I noticed my stress level sort of wavering, but that's what occurred.
Great.
And, I think the visualization is a really great thing.
Very good. That was my intention, Courtney, that it takes us out of our present mindset and allows us to open up to possibilities, allows us just to imagine. When I was doing this exercise, I imagined that Mom and I were just doing household things, but we were doing it in a peaceful way. We weren't arguing, we weren't yelling, we were just, picking strawberries or blackberries or cooking in the kitchen, and it was just a warm, peaceful atmosphere around us. So that helped me a lot because I know it's possible. So that's great. I'm glad you had a good experience.
Anyone else wanting to share where you went with your mom and what conversation or what you got out of that? Press 1.
Was everybody able to go there? Was everybody able to create some kind of a picture in their mind?
So if you were able to see something and you don't necessarily want to share it, but you were able to get something visual for yourself, just press 1. And if you were too distracted, like the phone's checking in and you weren't able to play, just press 2 so we know kind of how to proceed. All right, so most people were able to go there, and there are a few who were distracted. So we understand how that can go on a conference call, but we appreciate your attention as best we can to all of this. And Amber, let's go ahead and continue. So thanks for participating, everybody.
Yes, thank you. And I'm so glad everybody was able to create a picture, because that's so important. That becomes the goal that we work for. That becomes the end result that we're looking for. And the more creative, the more wild and crazy you can make this picture, the more fun it's going to be for you, and the more possibilities that open up. So I'm glad everybody had some fun with that. And I see, and from what I've heard on this call so far, I see that you all think that it's a great time to make some changes in your relationship, and it's time to create a better future for yourself. So that's a great decision. I'm glad you got there. I love helping others make this shift. It's so exciting because I know that you're on your way to a new future, and you're going to like it. So congratulations. Give yourself a round of applause. You did great. You're moving forward. Yes.
And
yay.
And for those who weren't able to do it in the distraction, I think that's something I could do on my own. So even if you have some quiet this evening after the kids are asleep or any of those other distractions are gone, I think if everybody would get to play by just taking that moment to be with Mom in a way that you feel happy, would be really great.
Oh, yes, you totally can. Yes, you totally can do this anytime you want to. You can find a quiet little spot late at night or early in the morning or whenever you can get away and just close your eyes and go back to the same picture. You can go back to that same relaxing, quiet little spot, maybe by the waterfall or the river or something, and just redo this whole experience. And
that's great. And have you done this with other women before? Is there something you'd like to share with us about how it's been for other of your clients?
Everybody has a different picture because everybody has a different safe place. And so everybody's experience with this is kind of unique and original to them. But everybody gets something out of it because it seems like this is the first time they can really shut off the mind chatter, shut off the thoughts, and just feel and just float. And that's my intention, just float. That's why I used water, because water has a fluid quality and water helps you relax. Water helps you change the ions in your energy field. Water is just very soothing. And so that's why I always try to take people to a nature scene that involves water, because it's so nurturing. And whatever experience you get, whatever picture you got, that's fine. That's fine for where you are right now. We're going to honor that. But know that there are infinite possibilities and infinite pictures and infinite ways of feeling relaxed and energized by doing this exercise. So just keep doing it.
Thank you, Amber. Thanks for all of that. And I really am curious about the work you do with your mother-daughter outside of, our little teleconference here, because I know we only get a taste of it here with you. So would you share with us a little bit about some of the work you've done with other mother-daughters and how it's turned out?
I would love to. And so I've had I'm going to share with you today two really interesting personal client stories. One, a client was a mother, and the other was an adult daughter. So the first client is an adult, and she wanted to have a child with her partner, but her mom was very critical. You don't know anything about raising a child. You're too old. Are you crazy, having a child at your age? So she came to me, and she was deeply upset about all of this. And we had one little short session, and soon she was smiling, and then she was breathing a little easier. She felt so relieved, and she was back into her confidence. And she came to the conclusion that her mom could have her feelings, and she could have her feelings. And if having a child was what she wanted to do, that's what she was going to do. So today she's moving forward and planning on being a mom. I was really pleased with that. Yeah. And another client I had was a mother who had a daughter who was living in Grandma's house. Grandma had died, and they needed to sell the house, but the daughter wouldn't move. So I had a session with the mother, And we discovered that what she was really upset with was her daughter's unwillingness to move out of Grandma's house. She was very upset, and she cried through most of the session. So at the end of the session, she was a little calmer, but I wasn't sure if she had really made the shift that she wanted and needed to do in this relationship. And a few days later, she called me and told me that she was so upset, and she had still been upset after our session, that she cried for the next 2 days. And then all of a sudden, it was like she stopped. She had given herself permission to take care of herself and finish her crying and relieve all that stress and all that tension. And then the miracle happened. Her daughter moved out of the house. They sold the house. They paid off the bills. Everyone was relieved, and she got what she wanted. Her problem was solved. So from that, we can conclude that results can be really quick. They can take place almost as fast as you can snap your fingers, or they can take a little while. But it all happens in a wonderful and the most appropriate way for everyone involved.
Well, thanks for sharing those stories with us, Amber, and it certainly shows the power of intention and of doing the clearing work and actually just kind of addressing those things that have us held back that we might not even know about.
Yes, it does. Thank you. So today I'd also like to say I totally believe in the power of this intention and the power of doing your clearing work. I've done it myself. Years and years ago, I discovered when I really got honest with myself that I was really, truly sick of feeling like a victim. I was tired of blaming my mom. I was tired of not being able to move forward. So I did my own clearing work myself, and then I found my power. And I bet all of you are tired of the same thing, tired of feeling like a victim and feeling stuck. So I'm offering you now an opportunity to walk in the sunshine of your power and feel good again. Many of my clients say that after working with me, they feel lighter and more confident, and their challenges just float away. And I've had them tell me that. I had one client call me once and say, I don't know where the stress went, but it's all gone and I can't find it. I said, great, don't look for it. Just let it go. So she was feeling a lot better, and this was the day after the session. And she was feeling better. All of my clients have been able to feel better. And once they've released and relieved all of the stress, they can move on, and their life can change. Your dream of being able to feel a warm glow when you talk with your mom is possible. And your dream of being able to stand in your personal power and shine forth like the warm sun, that's also possible. And I'd love to help you with that. So I'd like you to help connect with me on a discovery session. And during this half-hour session, we will look at where you are and what you want to accomplish and how I can best help you get there. Just remember, it's all possible. And on this discovery session, I will share my story of how I reconnected with my terribly wounded mom and finally found her motherly love. And you can too. You can create a better mother-daughter relationship. You have the power.
Wow.
Yes, it really is true. I know we think we don't have power, but we really do.
Well, I can appreciate that for all of our people who've joined us on the call of these lovely women, that we each have our own unique story, and it's hard to share in a conference call like this. And I know for my own self, it's a little bit awkward sharing about my mom in front of others. So I think that opportunity for a one-on-one discovery session with you is really a great place for where the healing can, we can get access to that healing and see how further we can work with you. So thank you for that generous offer. And I'm curious if you would like to have Amber give you a call and set up a discovery session with you where it's just really a half hour of finding out, as Amber said, where you are now, where you'd like to be, and, you know, if there's anything that can be, she can offer you some tips immediately and maybe even some further opportunity to work with her. So if you'd be willing to have that conversation with Amber, if you would just press 1 on your phone. And if you're willing to just have Amber give you a call and set up set up whether that call would be something you'd like to have, let's just go ahead and press 2 on that. So you're not necessarily committing to having the call, the discovery session, but you'd be willing to have a conversation about whether that would be valuable for you. Continue this conversation. All right, great. Well, thank you all for participating. I really appreciate all of your response and have enjoyed being with you on this call. I wish we got to hear more from you. I hope that this has been valuable for you and that it gives you a little bit of peace around your mom and your relationship with her. So I just want to thank Amber for being on this call with us and sharing your gifts. And it's, again, a beautiful, peaceful relationship with a mom that we're all really committed to having. So that'll end our teleseminar for today. And again, I'm Susan Kirby, Stage Time Speaker Trainer. And
I'm Amber Deanne. Your mom is driving me crazy, Coach.
Yes. Well, thank you all for being on the call, and we look forward to checking in with you again in the future, and Amber will be in touch. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.